Well, ladies and gentlemen, I've moved into my new place officially. I want to get some more like decorations or something up. I like the minimalist style that I've got right now, but I want to make it a little bit more entertaining and more welcoming, I suppose, as well for everybody here. But for now, this has got to do. But it's it's gonna be sweet, guys. And I want to talk about today in this video specifically how God will promote you in His time and what exactly that means. And sometimes you can get promoted at work, you can get promoted in other realms of your church or whatever hierarchy you're in, you're going to get promoted. But when you do a thing that takes a lot of work and you take a lot of punishment for it, and there's a lot of pain involved, you're going to eventually get to a spot where God is going to be able to promote you. And this may be not in the ways that you think. For example, for me, getting a newer place is a promotion for me in God's time. I've been wanting to get a new place for about a year now, but I've lived I wouldn't say uncomfortably, because I've had a lot of comfort in regards to like food and everything. Like, I have everything that I need, but it was a pretty small place that I was living in, and I wanted something bigger, but I didn't want to have to pay a lot more in rent and fees and everything, because I'm trying to save money and invest in different sources of my life. And I want to make sure that my investments go to a place that is going to help my money grow and not just take away my money. And so something that I've learned is that sometimes God promotes you by a means of emotional intelligence. Sometimes God promotes you in means of relationships. Sometimes God promotes you in means of understanding an insight of a bigger picture. Sometimes knowledge can be a promotion of some kind to God. And something I've also learned is that you have to understand, specifically as men, that the king's standard is the only way to go forward in life. We absolutely do not need to acknowledge anybody's hate. However, we can respond if need be, but we're not going to be sorry if they show their true colors and they try to backbite us, but we're not going to be sorry when we ignore them and we're cold to them. People are fucking amazing, man. They'll say these things about how you're so cold, and yet they're the one, like, you were there when they were at rock bottom. You stood with them. You stood by them. And now that you're moving up, oh, he's arrogant. Oh, he thinks he knows better. Well, it's probably because I do know better, but I'm not arrogant about it. I'm not trying to put you down in any way. But I want to share a quote from a book called Candid by Voltaire. And this is more or less a play, really, but one of the quotes in it says that the chief occupations nowadays are making love, backbiting, and talking nonsense. I thought that was a funny quote there. And it's so true in today's day and age. Like, for the last couple hundred years, which is when that book was written by Voltaire, it's like people don't know how to do anything else but make love, gossip, and just spread shit around that doesn't need to be shit on. It's like we're so preoccupied with trying to get dirt on other people that when they finally meet someone that's actually focused on themselves, they don't know what to do. And it's so hilarious to me. It's like, yeah, maybe I am focused on myself. Maybe it's not that I don't care about you. It's just that I don't need to prove anything to you. I don't need to try to talk about anything that is going on in my life to you, because I know that deep down, 99% of the population doesn't give a shit about my problems. And I'm going to have to take responsibility for my issues and for my problems. But that takes emotional intelligence. And that takes understanding what exactly the king's standard is. I'm going to bring this king's standard up in a lot of different videos from here on out and make reference to it, I think. But the point is that you have to recognize the games that people are playing before they actually play them. And to do that, you have to have your own emotions in check. Even with consultations that I'm doing right now, I'll be able to sense when there's a certain pattern going with a person, and I'll be able to set something up for them to be like, hey, look out for this thing. Look out for what's happening here. And some of them are like, wow, how did you see that? And then others are like, yeah, wow, that was great. Thank you so much. And that's great to see, and that's great to hear, because I do want people to be empowered to prosper. And I understand that we all have our blind spots. And for me, my biggest blind spot for so long was mastering my emotions. And it wasn't necessarily other people's emotions that I had a hard time understanding. It was my own emotions. And retaining a sense of identity while communicating with people was one of the most difficult things for me on my spiritual journey. But through discipline and through naming the emotions as they arise within me, and not being an enemy to the emotions either. Like if I'm angry, it's not going to help to be angry about being angry. Sometimes it's better to let the anger just push you forward, because anger is a very useful emotion in that way. I remember it was about 2 or 3 months ago, there was a woman that I was semi-interested in at the gym, and I was just kind of thinking about starting a conversation and seeing where things go. And literally as I went to do that, I saw something and I heard something that I did not want to see or hear about this person. And it changed my whole perspective of this girl. And I thought to myself, okay, I don't know, like this pisses me off that I literally I can't even think about talking to certain girls without having to question whether or not they have a promiscuous past. Like I literally have to question everything now. From here on out, I have to question everything. And it was at that moment that I knew where things were going, and I was like, okay, this isn't just, because she seemed like a pretty sweet, innocent girl. And that was what was frightening for me, I think, or scary, or it made me angry. It was like, it was all of these emotions tied into one thing, because it's like, if a girl that can look innocent like that can have that kind of past and squeeze by that, okay, maybe that wasn't the right word, but but like if she can make it seem like that's not the case, whoa, that's crazy to me. That's crazy. And so, and I'm already a pretty vigilant person. I don't like to even initiate conversations with people unless I know what I'm trying to intend in the conversation. I know I'm trying to build a connection with the person. And so in that instance, God promoted me to see a bigger understanding of the horizon up ahead. And it's like, nope, this is here to stay, brother. That was the message that I got really from that scenario, was that no, you have no idea what's about to come down the pipeline, and you have to create yourself into the best version of yourself and keep working and keep working and keep doing things so that you can actually attract the woman and or women that you want to attract down the line. And not only that, but to sustain a family, to actually have a family, you're going to, in nowadays, you're going to need so much emotional intelligence. It's not even funny. And as men, I know we oftentimes don't want to talk about emotions and that you have to be stoic all the time and all this stuff. And it's like, I'm actually a promoter of stoicism, but I also think that you should be able to express your emotions in a healthy way. And I also think that you should be able to just express your emotions to anyone, really, especially if you're trying to be with a woman. There's nothing wrong with telling a woman, like, hey, I like you. I want to be with you. And, or you can say, look, I don't think we're compatible. Those two things, those two sides of the equation, you're being straight up, you're being direct, and you're also expressing who you are. And you don't have to play games. Like, you don't have to play mind games. The dating game doesn't need to be so, like, confusing. And life doesn't need to be so confusing. If you work hard, you get to where you want to be. That's all you really need to do. And you just have to focus on the present moment and the present task at hand. For me, the past couple days, my task was moving my shit from one place to another. And that's exactly what I did. And I didn't focus on anything else during these 3 days. So now that I'm finally all settled in, I've got everything packed away and moved away. I also don't like to, like sleep in a place until all my stuff is at least in a semi-organized place. Like, I don't like when I have boxes everywhere or things kind of like almost messy. I don't like that. I like things very clean. I like things tidy. I like things at least organized to the best of my ability at the time before I even think about going to sleep. So I was up pretty late the last couple nights moving stuff, and then also because I didn't get a U-Haul or anything like that, I was just moving stuff from my car. And you got to do what you got to do. But the point is that you have to recognize the game that you're playing as well. You have to recognize that everybody's playing a game in this world. Life is a game, whether we like that or not. Life is a game, and it's up to you to determine how well you want to play that game. If somebody's put in, like, think about it like this, right? Let's say that you, like, when you were in high school or whatever, and you were going up against the state champions who have put in 2-3 times more training, more effort than you have, and you think that you deserve to win until you get on the court and you realize how much you don't really deserve to win. That's a humbling experience, right? And that's going to teach you that you need to work harder, that you need to train longer, that you need to train more, that you need to train smarter and harder. And so it's the same thing with life. If you're getting tasks in certain realms of the professional world, you're naturally going to be able to move up and be promoted in certain ways. If you have a graphic design dream and you want to be a graphic designer, there's no way you're going to be a graphic designer unless you get acquainted, first of all, with with Photoshop or Illustrator or GIMP or anything simple like those software programs to edit photos and such. You're not going to get there unless you become first acquainted with them. And so it takes a tunnel vision, and it takes a dedicated effort to continue forward. And God will see that, and God will promote you in His time as He sees fit. And you have to show that you really want it. If you show God that you really want it, it will be yours. Take it and go. This world and everything in it is yours. If but only you have the courage, the discipline, and the assertiveness it requires to take action in these prospective fields. With that being said, peace be with you. Till next time.